Warning, this video contains spoilers. Hey guys, and welcome to another game review. Today's game that I will be reviewing is Sonic Adventure, which was released in 1998, and its platforms have been the Sega Dreamcast, the GameCube, the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and is also available on Steam. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Alright, so the first thing that I always look at with my game reviews is story, and to be honest, this game's story was so chaotic, I honestly just couldn't believe it. Basically, the way this game's story works is there are multiple characters that you will play as, and each one has their own campaign and story, but all the stories, tie together to make one. Which sounds kind of cool, but at the same time, it kind of led to just being, very chaotic. It felt like all the stories were constantly clashing with each other, and it was just too many plot lines. For instance, Sonic's plot line is collecting the Chaos Emeralds and defeating the character Chaos. And Chaos is basically this creature. He's made of water, basically, and he's the defender, supposedly. Didn't really do a very good job of it. But he's supposedly the defender of the Chaos Emeralds. And he also eats them to become a more powerful creature, which, it's Sonic, so I guess that's okay. I'm not judging. But Eggman uses Chaos to cause destruction stuff, and just none of that really made a whole lot of sense. Basically, Sonic's entire plotline to me was just a bunch of gibberish. Tails' entire plotline was basically just Tails talking about how great Sonic is, and that was about it. Then you have Knuckles' plot, which is literally just him getting the pieces of the whatever emerald it is. The Green Emerald. I don't know why, I forgot what it's called. The Green Emerald, which for some reason broke. Random plot line thrown in there. And then you have Amy, who is running from a robot, which just felt like kind of a random sort of forced plot line into the game. Then you have Gamma, who is basically finding who they are, I guess, as a robot who's not actually a robot thing, but turns out to be a bird person, guy, whatever the birds are called. And then you have Big the Cat, whose entire story is straight up just collecting fish. He's fishing. That's his whole story. Trying to get his pet frog back, his best friend. Just felt real. That whole plot line felt really stupid to me. And then you have I don't know what's her name. The orange. I can never pronounce their name. The orange tribal people. She's just kind of a floating orb through most of the game, not really doing anything, but showing people tiny little bits of the past that do not help them whatsoever, and honestly don't help me because it make no sense. It seemed kind of pointless. And then in the end, basically, Chaos collects all the emeralds and becomes perfect Chaos, which was, I guess it was epic. That part of the game was epic, so they get a couple points for that. But then, honestly, the funniest thing in the entire story that I died laughing to was when, at the end of the game, the entire city is destroyed. Everyone's probably dead. And just out of nowhere, Tails is like, well, all's well that ends well. All's well that ends what? Everyone's dead. The city's destroyed. I assume the entire world is flooded by the amount of water. And Tails is just like, well, all's well that ends well, I guess. And I just thought that ending was pretty bad. All in all, I thought the story was just chaotic and stupid, and I'm going to have to give this game a 3 out of 10 for story. That is a very bad score. Definitely one of the worst stories I have seen in any game I have ever played. Next is graphics, and to be honest, that's one of the only things this game really has going for it. It did look really good. For 1998, I don't know if there was a single game that looked as good as Sonic Adventure. The textures were really good, the level detail was really good, the character detail was actually quite good. Like, I thought Chaos looked really good. And when he turns into, like, perfect Chaos, I thought he looked pretty awesome. One thing I did find that was a little odd graphically, actually a couple of things wrong with the graphics. One thing was that at the end of the game, when he turns into perfect Chaos, there's just this random, like, different quality cutscene. I mean, it looked really good. You know, like, perfect Chaos in that cutscene looked awesome. But it just felt odd, this random higher quality cutscene just thrown into the game, I guess to show off perfect Chaos. I don't know, that just seemed a little out of place to me. And another thing was there were some glitches and holes in the graphics. Like, there were a few cutscenes where, like, Sonic's eyes would kind of bug out, or, like, just certain enemies would get kind of glitchy, or just like, certain holes in textures. I know, like, in the final boss, for some reason, the water kind of just came and went, like, on and off. It looked kind of odd. But those were the only two things really wrong with the graphics, so I'm going to have to give this game, for graphics, a half-decent score of 8 out of 10. This game's graphics were really good, especially for 1998, because I always, whenever I do my game reviews, compare games to other games of the time they were released, and for 1998, this game looked super good. Now it is time for gameplay, and it's not good. This game was just not good. I didn't have fun. I thought most of it was either boring or frustrating or just awful. Basically, the way the game works, like I said before, is each character has their own campaign, and I thought virtually every single one of them was just awful, except for Gamma. I thought Gamma's campaign was actually quite good. The levels were fun and memorable, and all in all, it was quite good, but it was only like a sixth of the game, if that. So that's not going to save the game, because the other campaigns, Sonic's was glitchy, like so glitchy. I can't tell you how many times I fell through the ground, or there would just be like a weird, awful camera angle that would cause me to fly off the track, and it was just awful. Tails' campaign, I don't know why I found a lot of the levels to just be really hard to navigate and weird, and his controls were just bad, and the bosses you have to fight as him were so broken feeling. And then you have Knuckles' campaign, which honestly was just too short. It was, in the total length of the game, Knuckles' campaign was probably only like a, I don't know, 2% of the game, and I found it like really boring, way too easy to find all the crystals, because that's what you have to do with him, is you have to find the pieces of the emerald, and it was just not good. And then you have Amy's part of the campaign, which I'll say was probably the second best. And it's not because it was good, it was quite boring and I hated it. The only reason I would say it was the second best was it wasn't glitchy. Which is saying something, because literally everything else in the game except for basically Amy and Gamma were glitchy. And then the final boss, I ran into like some instances where I just died for literally like no reason. Like, I don't know if a texture from one of the Chaos Zero's attacks, Perfect Chaos is actually what it's called. I don't know if like one of his attacks didn't render or something, but I was getting hit and I wasn't, there was nothing hitting me. And then, oh my goodness, the worst part of the game was Big the Cat's part of the game. Oh my, that was awful. I hated every second of it. Because when I play a Sonic game, I'm expecting fast pace, racing. Big the Cat's part of the game is a fishing simulator. It's fishing. And it's not just fishing, it's boring fishing. It's awful fishing. It's broken fishing because it keeps glitching. Literally, it's like, I'll cast the lure, that stupid frog, it won't grab the lure. I'll cast it again, an invisible fish grabs it. And then all of a sudden, I can't cast anymore. Or some weird glitch will happen that I literally have to like quit and reload the game. It was awful. Absolutely awful. Also, one honorable mention in the weird gameplay of this game. In the one area in the jungle, there's this really odd music. It's just like random jungle vocalizing. I didn't understand that. That was weird and just kind of grating, to be honest. All in all, this game just, to me, it just was not fun. The only part of the game I enjoyed was Gamma. That was the only good part about this entire game. So for that, I'm going to have to give this game, for gameplay, a 3 out of 10. That is a very bad score, and just, this game was not fun to play at all. Now, just 2 more things I want to talk about before giving you the final score. And the first of those 2 things is difficulty. To be honest, I didn't find this game to be overly hard. I mean, I know it was buggy and glitchy and everything, but when it wasn't buggy, it wasn't that hard. And after dying several times, once you know where the bugs and the glitches are, you can kind of avoid them and beat this game fairly easily. So I am going to have to give this game a 5 out of 10 for difficulty. This game felt like it had basically your average game's difficulty. Now, last thing I want to talk about is playthrough time. The playthrough length. This game was kind of the average length of a game for that time, to be honest. It wasn't long. It wasn't that short. This game took me 8 hours to complete. 8 awful hours. I didn't like any of them. But it was 8 hours to beat. It is now the moment you have all been waiting for. It is time to give this game its final score. And this game's final score is 4.3 out of 10. I didn't like the game. I thought the graphics were honestly really good. It had great graphics, but it had a bad story and it had bad gameplay. So I don't really know why so many people seem to like this game. Maybe it's a thing of nostalgia, because I really hadn't played this game until fairly recently. But all in all, I just didn't really like the game. So thanks for watching, and make sure to sub, like, and comment below.